I mean, I'll tell you a guy that's not a Jag, and that's Kory Woods. I mean, he's just not. And he's chilling. So we're going to welcome in Kory. Talk a little bit about this weekend and some of the stuff that the rumors and stuff we've been hearing about training camp. So please welcome to the show, Pistons and Detroit Lions beat writer for MLive.com. Please welcome Mr. Kory Woods. Kory,
Hold on, y'all.
How you doing, my man?
I am tired, but I am here. And yo, real quick, I think another combo that you guys forgot about is, I mean, you can't leave out Randy Moss and Chris Carter. What they did, they were sick.
Ooh. Yeah, no, that's fair. I'll ask you about that, Kory. It's a good little transition. And every time we bring up like J-Mo's production, we always have this combo, and this is my take on it. All right, Amon-Ra St. Brown, we know what player he is. We already know all pro. He's that guy. Then you have Sam Laporta, who's just an all pro. I think depending on who you're higher on is going to be the guy with 1,000. Like for me, I think Sam Laporta is that good. I'm giving him 1,000, but others might say, well, J-Mo's so good. He might just top Sam Laporta. Sam could get his 700-800. He might just be that guy. But where are you at with that? Like between the Sam Laporta or J-Mo? Because we know all three aren't getting 1,000 or else you're going in the history books as one of the greatest offenses of all time.
I think right now I would say it's inconclusive because we have not really seen a full season of the Jared Goff, Jameson Williams connection. I mean, we just haven't.
Right.
This is going to be the first real from start to finish. Knock on wood, barring anything crazy happens, but this is going to be the first time these guys are going to really be able to start the season together. And right now, I think that if you just look at first off, like these guys said, we know what Amon-Ra St. Brown is. We like just call him Steady Eddie. You know what you're gonna get from him, north of 1,100 yards, probably get double-digit touchdowns. Sam Laporta, I was high on him when the Lions drafted him last year, but I honestly did not expect all pro out of him, and he turned out to be arguably, if you can say, the steal of the draft. I mean, just look at what the production that he's done and how he's improved the Lions offense. It definitely justified their decision to go ahead and move away from TJ Hawkinson and try to go and get somebody different that fit their needs. But Jameson Williams is the one where you're it's kind of like you see the potential of him being a number one receiver. I mean, good Lord, he's even faster than what he was last year. And that's kind of even blasphemous to say, but he is a little bit stronger. And you just want to see that connection between him and Goff. You want to see that connection develop the way that people are hoping it is. And I mean, over the past couple of days, at least with that last day in camp, Goff was slinging the heck out of it. And some of the throws him and J-Mo connected on were just wow, just super pretty over the shoulder catches. This one catch, I believe that's when J-Mo hit the nene after the dance. Goff threw that where only he could get it. It was just almost like a perfect pass. So
right,
if that connection and that timing works, the sky is going to be the limit for J-Mo. But again, I would say right now, I would think that in terms of trusting of who Goff like probably trusts, who's going to get most of those catches, I think it would probably be St. Brown and Laporta out the gate. But again, this is just my opinion.
Right.
Kory, I want to kind of just transition over to tomorrow's game, Kansas City, versus the Chiefs. I just want to kind of get your thoughts on what you're looking for into this game, especially when it comes down to the position battles and guys that are on the cut line and kind of fighting for these spots here. What guys are you looking for, and who do you think kind of can really stand out tomorrow and kind of make their case to make this roster?
Well, there are two battles that I'm really looking at, and I think I said it last time, if I'm not mistaken. So correct me if I did, but I'm looking at the wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4, and then I'm looking at the running back battles because pretty much everywhere else you can kind of like see guys have made a name for themselves. I mean, nobody's taking the RB1, RB2 spot. Nobody's taking the top 2 wide receiver spot. Somebody's taking quarterback. On defense, obviously the battle at a cornerback, just trying to see how things are going to fill out there. But that wide receiver 3 spot is one that I'm looking at, is one that the coaches are looking at. Dan Campbell talked about it this week. He said a lot of the guys look good, but he's looking for somebody to just step up and make a name for themselves. And that's the tough spot they're in because they lost Josh Reynolds. I mean, yeah, Josh didn't play particularly in that NFC Championship game. But I mean, he was Goff's most reliable target since he got here. And Fountain has looked good. Khalif Raymond has looked good. DPJ has started to step it up a lot more as that's a guy I believe they really want to go ahead and take that leap because he's a big body receiver, a guy that can go up and go get those 50-50 balls. But that's the position battle I'm going to be looking at is that third wide receiver because that is going to determine how explosive this offense is going to be. Like I said, I'm also looking at the running back position. I'm going to be looking and seeing if Zonovan Knight is going to be able to go ahead and step up and make a name for himself, like he said a couple of weeks ago when I talked to him, because I think I repeated this before. He said he wants to be able to show Lions fans that he can be that 215-pound, 220-pound running back that can be explosive off the backfield. Now, he did not get a chance to really show that in the first game. So that's what I'm going to be looking for tomorrow. And there's those two battles right there. And I'm also looking to see if Hendon Hooker is actually going to be able to take the field. I mean, that Dan Campbell said towards the end of the week that he was going to be able to probably be good, but I'm going to see if he actually takes the field because we seen how shaky Nate Sudfeld looked last week. They brought in Jake Fromm, and that's another battle that I'm looking at as well, the QB2.
Jake Fromm, man.
Hey, the Jake Fromm hype's real, Corey. I'm telling you, don't let that man get hot. But I am interested to see Hendon play, especially against a defensive coordinator like Steve Spagnuolo. They're going to be playing their starters, so Hendon's definitely one to watch. Another guy that showed out, I think, expectedly is Amik Robertson. So Amik Robertson, with the injury to Terrion Arnold, I'd expect for him to be back out there this week, especially with the Chiefs pulling out their ones. I think that'd be a really good experience for Amik. How has he looked in camp following the Giants game? Or what are kind of the expectations for him after that going into the season right now with all the injuries going on?
Amik has looked solid. He's looked like a dog. That's a guy that they're also expecting that can come up and play that and play in that nickel spot for them as well. But the one thing I want to say about Amik is his work ethic. I mean, they brought in a guy that is really all grit. When you talk about guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown and Khalif Raymond staying after practice overtime to work on their game, specifically on the jugs machine, there is another guy out there on that jugs machine as well. And that's Amik Robertson. And I don't think, I've seen all the quarterbacks before, stay after and work on aspects of their game. But I don't know if I've seen one coming at least since I've covered a team. And if somebody else saw it, hey, more power to them. I don't know if I've seen any of the cornerbacks stay after practice on the jugs machine the way that he does. And even if he misses one ball, even if it's like almost slips his hands, he's like angry at himself. So he's putting a lot of pressure on himself in camp to be able to step up and show out in this with this Lions team. And that's another guy that I talked to that is just really happy to be here. He's loving the environment and being able to learn from Aaron Glenn in that whole defensive room. So he's looked solid. He's looked solid in camp. Look like a guy that could probably come in here and be able to make some plays for them in that nickel spot. But that's a guy that you guys should probably keep an eye on as well. But he's been doing good in camp, and he's been working his butt off from what I've seen.
Another player too, Corey, Brandon Joseph, who, a guy has a nose for the football. He could take the football away. I mean, everyone knew that about him coming out. He went to Northwestern, then Notre Dame. What have you seen? Because the guy's been playing, at least when we were there the one day, and I know a lot of training camp, they're experimenting, so you're not trying to overreact to like everything. But I saw he was playing next to Kirby Joseph when Brian Branch was out to the sideline working with some trainers. What do you think of Brandon Joseph, and what kind of player could he be? Because I think they're really looking for a backup safety, and I think they might have found one, Brandon Joseph.
That's going to be a guy that, when it comes down to making their cuts and making their final decisions, I think that's going to be a guy that, at bare minimum, makes the practice squad. I actually see him probably making the team. I mean, look, that showing that you guys saw when you came to practice, that has been throughout camp. He's been locked down, knocking down passes. That's not the first time that he picked off Jared Goff. He picked him off a couple times during practice throughout camp. He had an interception in the game last week. So this is the guy that has been stepping up and making the most of his time out there. And they do need some depth at that safety position, and I believe that he's a guy that is going to possibly make a run. He's make a name for himself and making a team. I think that if they did have to cut him, that would be probably one they'll be like didn't want to do, try their hardest to get him on the practice squad. But I think if he continues at the way that he's going right now, as far as how he's playing in coverage, how he has a nose for the ball, I do not see him being one of the cuts. I see him making the 53-man roster.
Yeah, agreed.
I love that.
Upgrade from Will Harris, I'll tell you that much.
Hey, Brandon,
I would say this. Will's a very, very nice guy.
I have heard that, Kory. I will not deny that. Great for the community, just on the field.
Yeah,
different story.
He's had some struggles.
Yep, he did have some struggles.
Hey, Kory, another player that I've at least had my eye on, and since the last time I think we spoke with you, the preseason game happened, and Isaac Ukwu kind of showed out, and he went out there, and it felt like he went out there. Obviously, the sack he had, and then in practice, Dan mentioned he said every single day he's making a play. Do you think he can make the roster? Where do you stand on that? And like I know this defensive line room is an interesting one. Especially with all the Josh Pascals, the Levi O's kind of stepping up a little bit more. But do you think on the back end there, like who's at the bottom of that room that makes the roster in that like 9th, 10th spot? Do you think Isaac Ukwu has a chance?
I believe he does. I mean, whether that happens remains to be seen. But like you just said, that's a guy that Dan Campbell is really high on. That's a guy that Terrell Williams is really high on. They have spoken well about him. Shoot, he was pretty much the camp darling the other day, just off of the plays that he was making on the field and getting into the backfield, and on top of it, just the way that he's just been carrying himself in camp. You would think he's already been on the line just to grit in the whole demeanor that he's shown so far with the team. But he's a guy out there that they could make a name for himself. I'm going to be keeping an extra eye on the defensive line and those linebackers the next time we get a chance to look at them. But he's a guy he's a guy they're high on and couldn't make the team. Like I told you guys before, I was really looking at those real hardcore skill position battles. That was a lot of my focus on this year's camp because this offense has a chance to take that next level. But look again, for the things that I've seen on defense, he's been looking pretty good.
And a guy, Kory, that I think all of us here are not extremely high on, but that we have reasonable expectations for, but we haven't heard a lot of camp is Josh Pascal. And you're there every day, and we haven't heard good or bad. So what you've seen in camp and what you've heard inside the locker room with Josh Pascal, what's going on with him? Just because we haven't heard much, and he would have thought that he would have been a player that would have played in last preseason game, but he was inactive. And I think that's a good sign for him. Like, hey, we know what you are. We don't need to risk injury. But I think he's a guy that could use all the playing time he can get right now to get into that rotation. So what's the update on Josh Pascal?
For me, it's inconclusive. I personally have not seen anything from Washington defense. I haven't seen anything that made me pop about Josh Pascal. I haven't seen anything that really gave me too much cause for concern. It's kind of like, for me, it's like,
yeah,
he's treading water. So tomorrow's game, that is going to be one where if he's out there and he gets some meaningful snaps, I'm going to be looking to see what he does. But just haven't really seen anything good, bad, or indifferent about him, to be quite honest.
Yeah. Well, appreciate you, Kory. Even when you're tired, you're joining the fellas. We just appreciate it so much. Hey, follow at Kory E. Woods and check his stuff out, mlive.com. Kory, we'll talk to you very soon, my man. Good luck this weekend.
Appreciate you, Kory.